Hey guys, it's Trash with Beyond Bipolar blog. So back in 2014, I was experiencing one of the worst bipolar depressions. Although I was on medications at the time, I felt like I was at a point where I was going to end up homeless because I knew I couldn't work because of the fact that I would be up 22 hours and sleep 16. It was just all over the board when it came to my sleep schedule, so I felt like having a fixed schedule 9 to 5 wouldn't work for me, so all I could think about was being homeless. It got to the point where I felt like maybe I was supposed to be on Skid Row. Now, the reality is this wasn't true. It's all based on perspective because the fact that you kind of assimilate to the things that you feel. So, for instance, if you are focusing on the law of attraction, if you focus on bad things, poverty, homelessness, you're going to end up feeling that way, and you end up going to situations in which explore that way. So back in the day, I was very interested in homelessness and the mentally ill. I came across a few videos in which people were so degraded that they were treated like animals. Although I couldn't find the same video, I did find one video where it was titled Indonesia and Shackling of People with Disabilities. This was pretty heart-wrenching. I already watched it once, but the second time I ended up having to redo it because of the fact that the screen didn't save, so I had to redo it. Just want to get your guys' reaction on it. I'm already going to respond to the video. I'm going to make sure the playback speed's 1.5. It's a pretty short video, but you'll see the reason why this is such a heart-wrenching video from the mentally ill regarding homelessness and the poverty.
In Indonesia, people with mental health conditions are put in pasong, chained or locked up in homes or in institutions because they have conditions such as schizophrenia or depression.
Pasung sangat umum karena kalau kita melihat masalah pasung itu kan ada macam-macam bentuknya. Bisa dikurung di rumah, dikurung di kamar, atau pakai balok kayu, atau pakai besi, atau nggak boleh keluar pagar. Itu artinya adalah dia harus tidur, buang air besar, buang air kecil, makan di tempat yang sama.
You know, as I stated in the previous video, life can be really meaningless, but I'm glad I'm not in such horrid conditions. I'm glad I can defecate in a toilet. I'm glad I can eat at a table with plenty of food and water. I'm glad I have a social outlet in which I can get out and explore versus being chained to a prison pretty much.
People are shackled in homes by their families, in institutions run by faith healers and traditional healers, and sometimes even in social care institutions.
So the truth is, when it comes to these faith, spirit-based healers, the closest thing I can relate to that is the Hmong community here. It's pretty prevalent here, but there are some OGs or old people like grandmas and grandpas that have the shaman type of beliefs, and they believe that mental illness is more a provocation of evil, the devil, etc., and that they must be wiped clean from the evil that's inside of them, which is pretty self-explanatory that it isn't the truth when it comes to the mentally ill. But at the same time, I'm glad that the newer generation is more responding to the mentally ill and understand that medications, therapy, support is very beneficial and can change your whole life around instead of just trying to believe that spirits can be erased from your mind and you can be clean from evil spirits.
Agus is a 26-year-old man with a psychosocial disability. He was locked up in a shed by his family for a month.
Itu kan tidak enak, itu panas perasaannya. Ya kaki diikat, ya tangan diikat gitu. Karena kalau nggak diikat itu merusak gitu, pas di dalam kurungnya itu pasti rusak gitu. Karena perasaan itu ada yang masuk ke dalam badan gitu.
Agus's family decided to lock him up because they didn't know what was happening to him. They were convinced, they told me, he was possessed by the devil.
Ya gitu ceritanya gitu. Emang Agus itu cina kemasukan roh ya yang aneh gitu ya gitu. Yeah,
doesn't surprise me when I feel like poverty is very inclined to religious or superstitious beliefs. Like I said, it's pretty common in the OG Hmong traditions, and I'm sure like shamanism and other types of similar beliefs that are out there. It wouldn't surprise me that these people believe that there's evil spirits within their own family members.
mau berdiri itu susah karena kurungnya pendek gitu. Ya duduk aja gitu.
Today, Agus is working in his village, building houses, and leads a fulfilling life because he's receiving the support and services that he needs. Currently, the government estimates that there are about 18,000 people who are still shackled in Indonesia. Despite this practice being illegal in Indonesia, the government has banned pasung since 1977, and yet the practice persists across the country. We visited one institution run by a faith healer where the Department of Social Affairs was actually sending people. They knew fully well people were being shackled.
Kami juga menampung beberapa pasien yang dari Dinas Sosial Brebes yang pada bulan sekarang ini kurang lebih ada 14 orang.
People who
Whoops, seems like we lost video. Please restart your computer. Hold on. Okay, it seems like we lost video, but let's see if I can get it restarted at 2:49.
Extremely neglected, isolated, and develop all sorts of physical ailments as a result of being trained.
Akibat dari pemasungan ini semakin lama tentu semakin banyak yang bisa ditimbulkan. Pertama tentu atrofi otot-otot ya, otot jadi mengecil, kemudian gizi jadi buruk ya, karena income yang tidak baik. Kalau dari sudut mental mungkin juga bisa terjadi traumatic experience pada mereka, pengalaman trauma. Mereka juga.
You know, there's a lot of people that are anti-adoption. I am actually, a little less more neutral when it comes to adoption. I was raised by a great family. There are some people out there, though, that's been raised by a horrible adoption family with physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. That's gone along with people that just didn't feel loved by their adoptive family. But me, if I was in Korea before then, I'd probably be really ashamed that I'd be stuck in poverty and maybe living in such a ridiculous life setting where I would be locked and chained to some chains, or I would not have access to hospital or medications or psychiatrists, therapists, and other types of support. And I'm glad I have financial support to be able to live the life I need to get better and well. There are times where I feel like life is hopeless and purposeless and meaningless, but at the same time, if I look back on these situations, I'm far in a better position than most of these people that are locked and chained pretty much in the back of their house.
Juga secara sosial mereka kehilangan banyak kesempatan.
We met Ikram's family in Central Java. Ikram has been locked up in the shed for many years now. We spoke to his brother, Mustafa, who explained the challenges his family faced in caring for his brother.
Oh, dia suka ngamuk-ngamuk. Terus dia menampar sama orang tua saya, terus sama saya. Saya kan kasih ikat sama tali, langsung dia kalau udah kena dia langsung masukin sana.
There was a time where Ikram's family took him to see a doctor, where he had access to medication and services, and he was doing much better. He even lived for a short while in the family home. However, as soon as the medication ran out, and the
there's a lot of people that are anti-medication, but for me, I feel like it has saved my life. For people that are first getting into the mental health, their mental health experience or well-being, you may be in a state of mind where you deny medications, you feel like you're well and you don't want to go down the rabbit hole of mental health, but at the same time, after a while, if you continue to be sick and getting sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's going to end up changing you, and you might actually agree like me where medications can definitely benefit your life.
Family did not have time to travel to a provincial hospital and to spend the money on a regular basis. Ikram was put back in the shed.
Masalahnya dengan pasung ini adalah karena memang tidak ada pilihan lain yang disediakan. Keluarga kemudian tidak mempunyai pilihan karena dukungan tidak ada, baik dukungan sosial, dukungan ekonomi, dukungan medis, dukungan treatment yang lain, sehingga akhirnya satu-satunya jalan keluar yang mereka miliki adalah dipasung atau ditaruh di panti, dan panti itulah yang kemudian memasung orang.
The conditions in these institutions are extremely unsanitary. People are chained with metallic chains and can't move around much. They are eating, sleeping, defecating, urinating in that same space for a period of years. There is an urgent need for the government to monitor these institutions and to ensure that its ban on shackling is implemented in homes and institutions. But in the long term, there needs to be a shift from institutions to community-based services, so people with mental health conditions and their families can live in the community and access the services and support they need.
Nggak bisa ya, mudah-mudahan orang lain nggak ada gitu, nggak ada yang seperti saya gitu. Ingin nanti saya sembuh betul lah, ada santunan dari pemerintah buat adik saya. Kan ini udah lama lah, kasihan dia.
Well, it was a pretty short video, but very powerful video on what it's like to live someone in a third world country in which spiritual belief seems to be a curse for many people with mental illnesses. So this brings up the stigma that is not only common in the United States, but definitely in third world countries. As you can see in this video, it was pretty horrid and horrendous settings. Imagine defecating and sleeping and eating in the same place over and over like a caged animal. It'd just be horrid for me. And like people that have mental illness, yeah, life gets tough, but imagine yourself in this situation. Imagine yourself, you are stuck and chained like an animal in very small places. Your trauma right now is going to be 10 times worse, so you should at least be somewhat grateful in terms of where your situation is at now. Now I get it, I do get depressed, I do get suicidal, but at the same time, when I look back on these videos, no matter how traumatic they are or horrid they are, I do believe there is some benefit in these videos and the fact that it showcases that life could be much worse for me. Life could be much worse for you if you are living in these situations. If you are feeding upon these negative attributes that seem to overcome you regardless of your situation. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to be worse than you, and this is one of the worst situations I don't want to see anyone like myself to have to go through. There was at a point in my life where I felt like this might have been the option, especially on Skid Row, since I had no idea and I was so ashamed of myself. I was so backtracked, I was so depressed that I felt the only option for me was live on Skid Row homeless. There were several instances in my life where I felt homelessness was the best option because I knew I couldn't hold a full-time job working the straight 9 to 5. Because my sleep was so inconsistent, my mood was unstable, I was depressed, I was manic, things were very inconsistent, and I believe that the whole reason why I'm doing a lot better is because of that services that I have access due to the government, due to the U.S. being a first world nation. So I there are things you can be grateful for, and one of the things you can benefit for yourself when it comes to mental health is the fact that try to look for the things that you're grateful for, try to look for the things that are positive. Now, I really struggle at this because there's people in my life that comment that they do have these negative beliefs, and I have to kind of backtrack them to believing that there are positive things out there. But at the same time, for me, I struggle with that as well, so I have a hard time believing that. But at the same time, you have to realize that, like I said before, situations can be much worse, much more damning, much more of a hell, much more traumatic. So just try to be grateful and try to forgive those that put you at fault or your past experiences. So this is Travis Baylitz signing off with Beyond Bipolar blog. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button if you're interested in more reaction videos, mental health videos, or documentaries, motivational speeches. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.